Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In this video, let us see how we can create tables in HTML. So in HTML, we have the table element, which we can use to create a table. So head over to the HTML folder and create a new file, tables.html. So right here, let us quickly scaffold our basic HTML boilerplate and give the title as tables in HTML. Let us first use an h1, tables in HTML. So we have this table element for representing tabular data. Now inside the table, we usually have one or more rows. To define a row, we have the tr or the table row element. Now inside this element, we can have one or more cells, which can be data cells or header cells. So to define a data cell within a row, we can use the td, which is short for table data element, and to define a header cell, we use the th, which is short for the table header element. So let me quickly define a table. So we first need a table row. Now inside this row, we basically want the names of the columns for our table. So we will need the th element for this. So th, table header, let us say serial number. Then th, name, th, profession, and finally th, age. So now we are done with our first table row with 4 header cells. Let us give this a preview to see how it looks. So currently it looks a bit ugly and there are no well-defined boundaries as we have in a table, but no worries, we will get there in a few minutes. Next, let us add a new tr element to add a new row. So tr, and here I need to define the td elements to give the first row values for each of the headers that we described in the first row. So for the serial number, let us say 1. Then for the name, Alex. For profession, software engineer. And then for the age, let us say 22. And let us add 2 more rows with the exact same structure of the row as we just defined. So let me copy this and paste it down below 2 times. And here let us say 2, James, full stack engineer, and age 43. And finally for the last one, let us quickly add this up. 3, Harry, JavaScript developer, and let us say age as 34. So let us give this a preview in the browser before we proceed forward. So currently it looks something like this. There are no borders, or you can say no boundaries, as we have in case of tables. Also there is no clear separation between the table rows and the columns. So let us see how we can achieve this. So here you can see we are having 4 rows, and in each row we basically have 4 cells. The first row is the header row, and it is in the other rows in which we have our data, right? Now this time I would style it a bit so that the entire table that we defined above using table element actually looks like a table. So go right above inside the head section and let us add a style element to define the styles for this web page, especially for the table. So let us first add some border around our table element. So for this we need to define a CSS rule. So basically here we specify a selector and then we use the curly braces to define a CSS rule, right? So for this we can make use of the border property, and here we need to specify 3 values. So first is the thickness of the border that we want. For this, let us use a value of 2 pixels. Then we want a solid border, so solid. And finally we want the color of the border to be black. So let us see what this gives us. So this looks good, but there is one problem. We also need a border around each cell. So for this, let us apply the same styles for the td element. So go back to Visual Studio Code. Let us add a comma and then say td, and we need the same thing for our table heading element as well, so add that as well, comma th. And let us also add some padding so that there is some space around the text that each cell has and the border, right? So padding as 5 pixels. So let us give this a preview. So this looks good, but we can make our table a bit better by describing the rows in separate sections, namely the table head section and the table body section. So to represent the table head section, we can make use of the thead element, and to represent the table body section, we can make use of the tbody element. So let us go right inside the table and add a thead element. So right here, thead, and within it, let us grab our first row and put it right inside the thead element like this. Next, let us define the table body section. So here we can place all our other table rows excluding the table head row. Okay, so grab all these 3 rows and add a tbody element and put them right inside it. Now the reason for using these two tags, the thead and the tbody elements, is that with this our markup is semantically more meaningful to the search engines and screen readers. Next, let us add a new table row right inside the table head section to describe what the table is all about. So tr, and inside it let us add a th and let us say employee records. Now currently if you see this in the browser, this column is only spanning across the width of this cell. To make it span across the entire table, that is to the number of cells that we have, we can define an attribute on the th which is called as colspan. So let us go back to Visual Studio Code and set the colspan attribute on the th, so colspan, and set this to a value of 4. So let us give this a preview in the browser and you can see this looks good. So using the colspan attribute, you can determine how many cells to expand this table cell, to which as you can see in this case it is 4. So here we are saying this th cell should take 4 columns. Okay, so this was all I wanted to cover about tables in HTML. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up or comment down below if you have any query. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get the notification for all my upcoming uploads, and I will see you guys in the very next one.